You know, you saw the Spitfire 500, I thought it would be a lift and shift of exactly the same hardware onto a PCB like this, but that isn't what this is. I want to maximise that. I don't know why it's not larger. Hi, it's Gadget UK here again, another exciting video. This box came from LIV2, Matt Harlan, all the way from Sweden when he was in Sweden. So you'll have seen the Spitfire previously on my channel from J Bilander, and I think there was another product I looked at for his actually. It may have been the POC 86 or something like that, I can't honestly remember. But it's all of the parts here to build a Spitfire 2000, hence the title of the video. And we've got an adapter there as well, look. One of those Zorro slots, you know. You stick it on a 500 I think, and it gives you a Zorro slot, so I think that's what that is. And what's that? Oh, that's the PCB for this. Now this is not like the Spitfire in some ways. It runs faster, it's got some different features and stuff, but it's, you know, it's designed to go into the CPU slot there and give us a faster CPU, IDE and RAM, I think. It looks the same in terms of the RAM, so it probably gives you 8 meg of RAM. And in fact, we can inspect the silk screen here to try and work out together what it does. Yeah, it says there, designed by J Bilander, copyright 2022. It's been sat with me for a while, this actually. I'm sorry it's taken so long. So we've got some latches or something down here, I think, and an FPGA I think on this one. It's one of those GoWin ones. Yeah, it's an FPGA. 68,000 CPU there, quad flat pack one, and the flavour of that, it's an MC68SEC000. So it's going to be probably like a HC version or something like that, and it's probably going to run faster. I think up to 40 something megahertz this actually. So it's got space for 2 ROMs. Don't know whether that's like an optional thing, you know, maybe you can have one or the other, or maybe both are used. Honestly, no idea. And then in terms of the jumpers up here, it says 7 MHz / turbo, so we need to determine what turbo is yet. As I say, it's not the same speed as the original Spitfire 500. And RAM 4/8 meg, auto boot off on, octagon / octopus ROM, so there's a jumper there to switch between, you know, the halves of the ROMs, so you can have a few different ROMs on it. ROM override on or off. And there's also a jumper for E-clock gen on this version as well, which we didn't have on the Spitfire 500. Anyway, I'm super excited to get on with this. And all of the parts, let's say, are here. There's an awful lot of parts actually. It's incredible how many little baggies there are in here. All look like they've come from DigiKey or Mouser here. Mouser Electronics, look. So anyway, I'll get all of these out. Wow, so many baggies here. It's going to take me some time just to check what's what here. So here, trying to look at the part number. We've got purchase order numbers. We've got FPGA. It says there, semiconductor GoWin. So that's going to be the FPGA. Let's open this actually. Let's actually get the things out of these bags so I can see what's what. Yeah, they often have like silica gel things in here. So if you want to try and retain that, just try and trim in a way that doesn't cut open the silica gel. Silica gel is poisonous to animals and things as well. Maybe people. Yeah, look, little silica gel things here to keep the humidity out of that. But anyway, that's that bag out of the way. So yeah, I'm guessing we've got one of the GoWin FPGAs in here. I probably need an hour-long video just to do the unboxing here. So there we go, GoWin FPGA. That's going to be interesting. How we program that, I'm not sure. It's probably going to need its own programmer. Anyway, that's one bag down. About 1 million to go. Yeah, there we go. Don't you just love the way they package these things in giant ESD bags when it's one flash chip like that? It's incredible. What a waste. They could have put all of these into one baggie there with one of those and yeah, saved themselves quite a lot of weight and packaging. Anyway, I'll just go through these, get everything out of the bags, get them on the table, and then we'll just see where we're at. In terms of recycling here, you can obviously, if you cut the tops off these, you can use these as ESD bags. All of these silica gel things here, and these humidity things here. I'm not sure we can tell what those are representing there. That one's gone a bit bluey look, as if like that's got some moisture in it. Those two have stayed the same sort of colour. But I don't know. Anyway, the bottom line is these, I will stick these into my crates, you know, that I used to store systems in. Yeah, you know, they've got like a sealed plastic lid. You just stick all those in, and they just help keep moisture out of things. And obviously the ends here, those can go into recycling because, well, we can't use those for anything. Right, so after opening that lot, what have we got? Well, we've got a lot here. We've got what I think is a programmer. Yeah, it is, look. GoWin USB dongle. So we're going to need that to program up the FPGA. I'm so grateful for him including that, because that's the sort of thing that, well, I would have needed. I haven't got one of those. So moving forward, it means we can program the GoWin chips. So this, I think, is the CPU. So if we have a look at that, yeah, that's it's got the Freescale symbol at the top of it there, I think. That's our CPU, quad flat pack. Then we've got, you may have seen this already, is this the RAM? Yeah, RAM. So we've got 8 meg of RAM, each one of those is 2 megabytes each, which is incredible, because that's going to be fairly costly as well. And then we've got the GoWin FPGA, you saw that when I opened it before. We've got the flash ROM, you saw that before. Then we've got the 3, what I think are like latch/slash transceivers. They might be combined here. They're quite long and thin, lots of connections. Probably doing some translation and buffering/ latching, or both, I don't know. Certainly translation from 3.3 to 5. And then we've got just the single components in these bags. I'm not taking things out of here because obviously I'll lose track of what's what. Like, what's in that bag? What is in that bag? That looks like an empty bag. Have I lost something already? Yeah, I'm searching around inside the bag and I see nothing. It says it's a 50 volt 16 picofarad cap. Oh, well, that's an interesting one. Unless it's a transparent cap. I cannot see it. Can you see a cap in there? I don't know. That might have just slipped in by mistake. Anyway, that's empty. So that's a bit worrying. We have got some caps here though, look. Yeah, I will check the packaging. Maybe one thing's fell out of there or something on the packaging. I can always source the individual cap. But anyway, nevertheless, these are all like caps, resistors, maybe the odd resistor network. We got something there, crystal, I think. That's really nice. I like the colour of it as well. I love that deep purple. It's always my favourite PCB colour, that, really. In terms of this side, oh, hang on, it's got both connectors. There's me thinking it needs another connector. It doesn't. It's connected onto the side that goes, where's it go? The side that goes out. So this is plugged onto that. But this here will just come off there. See if I can get it off. As you can see, like that. Yeah? And then that can solder in place. So that is really clever. So much appreciated. Makes a nice fit, that as well. Oh, I'm tempted to solder that up now. Anyway, I'll do that in another video. Yeah, so I will go and hunt, see if I can find that one capacitor that seems to be missing. Yeah, that 16 picofarad cap is nowhere to be seen. It's one of those things where, you know, you doubt yourself. I'm like, am I not seeing something that's invisible or something? I don't know. An invisible cap. Let's just, for good measure, just shake it. I don't think there's anything in it. 16, yeah. So I'm going to go check the bill of materials, need that anyway, to work out what parts go where here. Born to Fly. I love it. So I'll do that, and I'll see if there's any 16 picofarad caps in the design. If there is, I'll order some. And this little PCB here, the Amiga 500 IDE, I've worked out what this is. I think you connect this up somewhere, perhaps along with a keyboard or something. I don't know, I could be wrong. What I was going to say is I think you can connect your IDE up from a mod, you know, e.g. the Spitfire 500, and it'll flash the drive light, maybe. Something like that. Yeah, back again without the bill of materials. I promise you I'll go and get them in a minute. Just looking at these jumper positions here, got me super excited. Look at the bottom one there, 50M. You've got 14, 28, 20, I can't even see those now from this distance. Yeah, we've got 14, 21, 28, 33, 42, 50 megahertz. Can you imagine running a stock CPU here at 50 megahertz? That's going to be incredible. And I bet it's probably going to run at 42 without too much of a problem. So yeah, stock, standard, straight, vanilla, you know, 68,000. It's probably not vanilla in the sense it's probably like a HC part. Hence, well, it's not, it's an SEC part, but it probably will run close to, if not exactly, 50 megahertz. You're going to get a lot more compatibility because you've not got caches and things, presumably, in that version there. But I don't know, there may be other differences in there that might give us some incompatibilities, I don't know, but I think that, because I think Exos was looking at these for the Atari ST when he was doing the booster stuff. He was playing around with one of these. Exos had it running at 42 megahertz. So yeah, that should give us a really, really nice boost in performance without complications of caches and things. I like the way he's labelled everything up here as well. This is always a nice thing when you're learning about things and trying to diagnose things, having the actual names of what the pins are. You know, you've got the like int2s there, OVR, you know, C28M, ground, halt, reset. It just makes it so much easier to diagnose, and it's really useful. It's just a really useful thing to do that. Take advantage of that silk screen. And he's not wasted any silk screen here. There's, you know, all of the relevant things you'd expect, you know, the part designations and stuff, but lots of little messages like Flying Freedom, open source hardware, Spitfire 2000, revision 1B. So I'm not sure if this is the last. But I'm just inspecting around this to see, you know, familiarise myself with what's there. We've got little resistor network positions, so some of those little SMD components are going to be resistor networks. But the thing that did catch my eye here, well, I pointed out originally, we've got 2 ROMs, so that might be an optional thing. But also, what's this here? There's like a little pin position for some sort of surface mounted component there. Is that an SD card adapter slot? I don't know what that is. Yeah, micro SD, it's not big enough to be SD. I think that's an SD card slot. I could be wrong. I don't know, let's just try and get that out. It's a bit risky because, you know, we aren't even at that point, and it is me fishing around for the most exciting looking bits. Let's try and get that out without attaching to anything else. And yeah, can you see that? We've got the pins underneath there, and that's a micro SD card. That is for a micro SD card. I like that. I really like that. So, are we thinking it supports either micro SD or compact flash in IDE, or maybe both? I don't know. This is really cool, this project. I can't believe it's took me so long to get around to looking at this. I didn't realise how cool this was, because I thought that this was just going to be, you know, you saw the Spitfire 500, I thought that it would be a lift and shift of exactly the same hardware onto a PCB like this, but that isn't what this is. This is pushing things further in a few different ways. Yeah, we've still got the limit on RAM, but you're always going to have that limit on RAM of the Zorro 2, you know, 24-bit, 8 meg limitation there, unless you use an uprated CPU. Well, the stock 68000 has got a 24-bit address bus, so you can't go beyond the 8 meg without bank switching or some other, you know, weird non-standard implementation of, you know, expanding the RAM. Because that's one thing you can do on any of these systems, where someone says, oh, there's a limit on the RAM. You can always bank swap away from that limit. Yeah, so even something like the 24-bit address range on the Amiga, with some very clever driver and a bit of clever thought with the hardware, you could give yourself half a gig of RAM on a 24-bit Amiga, but it wouldn't be supported in a standard way. It would need a driver that the OS can interact with in order to, you know, page through memory using, you know, bank switching effectively. And of course then you can have the overhead and the slowdown associated with something like that, and anything that doesn't use the OS to interact with that ROM, you know, in terms of ROM calls and things, or library calls, then it wouldn't work. So I'm going to start with 100 nanofarad caps here, 0.1 microfarad, C9 C25. And I think the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to get a solder onto each of the pads, use the tweezers and hot air each capacitor into position. Right, that's all of the 100s on. We've got one left, so I figured there's one spare here. I will just check the bill of materials and count. Well, it's 9 to 25, isn't it, I think? Yeah, 9 to 25. Anyway, those are all fitted, and I use the old school magnifier here rather than the microscope. The microscope's good for showing you things, but in terms of getting these on speedily, yeah, I've gone back to my old ways of just using that, because, well, I get things on far quicker. I can see much more of the board. I've got stereoscopic vision. It's much easier for assembly, but we'll go back to the microscope in a minute for some of the chips and stuff. Now there are optimal ways of building something like this. One of the best ways to do this is to get the semiconductors on first, get the chips on first, because obviously, you know, you're going to have resistor arrays and things and capacitors around there that could hinder. So I'm not going to get the resistor arrays on, but the caps, yeah, they're all right. They're in good positions really. They're not going to inhibit me getting those chips on. So for this bit, I'm just going to swap back to my normal magnifier. Down to the last capacitor here, but it's right next to this crystal, so I'm going to get the crystal on next, I think, if I can find which bag it's in. Yes, this kit's been excellent so far, but we've got one issue, well, two issues. That cap there, you can see, only just fits on the pads. I had to, you know, surface mount it. It does say C8 10 microfarad. So yeah, I think it's just a bit big, that particular capacitor. So I've got my own 220 nanofarads here, because the next one's C7 on the bill of materials. It says 0.33 microfarad, 330 nanofarad. I don't have any 330s in the kit, but I've got these 220 nanofarads. So we'll fit one of these. It's I'm sure it's going to be fine. Right, back to Commodore's cam. These absolutely tiny things. I mean, look at the size of this one compared to my finger. Let's get the voltage regulator on. I'll show you that other little device that I got on in a minute. It's like a SOT23 or something, you know, it's got 5 pins. And I just did that the same way as did the 6-pin device, just hot air, you know, cover the pads in solder, hot air. Yeah, what I'm doing here is, I'll use the tweezers to do this, I think. That'll do. It is going to go through the ultrasonic in a little bit anyway. Yeah, and you can see the little SOT23, I think it is, device there. So, I mean, if I adjust the focus, yeah, I know it's wobbly. And have a look at that side. Hang on, try to get the focus right. Yeah, the solder points are okay on that, I think. But you see, those things are really easy to solder when you've not got this stuff around. So, you know, the order you fit things on there, you should perhaps get the ICs on, get these on, and finish off with the caps, because the caps are around everything, and those are the things that make things quite hard. The caps, when you've only got 2 solder points, it's easier to solder than something with 5 or 6 solder points. So yeah, the general rule is to start off with the chips and things with many contacts first, except for things like that, you know, the IDE. Do the through-hole stuff last, and then finish off with the caps and resistors, because these have just got 2 solder points. Yeah, I think we're another component short here. I have thoroughly inspected, and the little IC that goes, where is it now? Here. Little, again, looks like a SOT type device, even smaller than the other one. It's 5 pins, U7. I don't have it. I've looked in every single one of these bags. That is not here, unless, well, I missed it. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. It's like, you know, trying to see it in that bag there is impossible. Right, I'm going to get the chips on. Yeah, that little 5-pin device is nowhere to be seen. I've looked absolutely everywhere, including in the little containers for the ICs. I was meticulous and actually, you know, put them carefully on the desk, took the components out, and then shook the container, just tapped it upside down the desk to make sure it wasn't inside one of those, and it wasn't. I can't find pin 1. Let's zoom out. And of course I had to point you upwards there to try and see that. So, I'm not even sure where pin 1 is on this, you know. I mean, I'd like to think that's pin 1. But you see, typically pin 1's down here with the label, but I actually think that's pin 1. So, I need to go look. Let's just carefully just shift this around off the pads. Yeah, we've got pin 1 here. So, is it going to go this way around? Wrist strap's on, by the way. I've had it on since we started messing with the semiconductors here. Yeah, I need to align that, but I need to go check, is that actually pin 1? Yeah, look on GitHub here, you can see the chip is like that with the writing that way up, which corresponds with the way it's laid out here, so that is correct. Obviously just need to, well, faff around with this now, no end probably. Yeah, I know that's not aligned at all, but I'm just going to try and smush onto here unsuccessfully. Oh, this is where I'll probably use my normal magnifier in a minute, and then again just heat and smoosh around like that. Yeah, I need more magnification, I think. Just get a bit of flux here, it's just going to assist moving it. Tweezers might be an idea, but I'll end up moving it where I don't want it with tweezers, I think. I think you can see I pretty much nailed that. It is slightly more left aligned than right aligned though, isn't it? I think. That's better, but now we're out here, see? So what I would do with something like that is don't be afraid of bending the odd pin just marginally. So in other words, if we heat, in fact, let's try and anchor, I don't know, let's anchor there. You can see that's not aligned, so I'm going to be bending the two pins over there marginally, just by virtue of, I'll just heat and solder this here if I can, like that. And then I'm going to very gently just move this as I heat that. There we go, how I want it, yeah? And then come back around here, hang on, and if I can find it, yeah, release the tension, hold it down, release the tension. There. The worst that can happen is you may need to try and straighten one or two of these pins on the corner there where it got a bit stressed. But hopefully you can see now we've got good alignment on the left, good alignment on the bottom, and good alignment on the right there, which probably, hopefully, means, yeah, look, good alignment on the top too. All of the components here were provided by Matt Harlop, LIV2. Jay Bilander provided two of these boards to Matt, and then Matt kindly, sent one to me with the components, and I guess he ordered two lots of components at the same time so he could build his own and then send them on to me. So that is incredible. Thank you ever so much, Matt. Yeah, so I've ordered the U7 here. It's coming from China. It was the easiest thing. I could have ordered from DigiKey or Mouse or somewhere, but it's like, I don't know, £20 a minimum order or something, isn't it? And then you've got shipping and all the rest of it. And yeah, money's a bit tight, so I've just ordered from China. It's like £4 or something for, I don't know, 5 of them. Hopefully they are the right part. I'm sure they will be. Generally everything I get like that from China generally is okay. They're probably ordering from DigiKey at a quarter of that price. That's probably what's going on there. Matt did also point out this micro SD card slot is not doing anything at the moment. It's not implemented. So he's going to speak to Jay Bilander and see if we can progress that somehow. I'm guessing it's going to be wired to the FPGA here, so with some clever update to the FPGA at a later date, we might be able to use that as a storage device, potentially. But I learned some new things about this as well. The reason there's two chips here, and both of these are going to be fitted, it supports Kickstart, yeah? You can actually, you know, it'll memory map the Kickstart ROM in here and ignore the one on the motherboard, which is also incredible, isn't it? That potentially will boost performance even further, because you might be able to, with something like this, have less weight states. It might actually be able to access the ROM there at the full, you know, 42 megahertz, let's say. And I think that was what Matt was saying as well. He said he couldn't quite run his at 42, but Jay Bilander could run his at 42. But he will go up to 50, so I don't know. It might depend on whether you look out with a chip there. There might be some other variables that affect whether you can get 42 or 50 megahertz out of this. It might be that it gets hot, well, I can heat sink it. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yeah, so it's taken an incredible amount of time and patience to build this. And there's so many solder points and so fine pitch. I don't have very high level of confidence of this working from the start. I bet you I end up flowing lots of things to try and work out some random issue. Can't see where that's gone now. It's on its side, isn't it? Let's use calf tweezers here. Oh, now it's upside down. Yeah, I've hurt my arm at the moment, so I can't rotate things. There we go. Let's get that here. It's got 5 of these 10k resistor networks. Resistors just pass through, you know, it's like 4, in this case, 10k resistors. This is where I wish I had that fine tip on again. Can't actually win. It's like I get a really good tip from Denmark. Oh god. Oh god. Yeah. How to successfully make a good situation bad. I thought that would have just undone its own tension of the solder. There we go, pull itself into position. Oh, I couldn't burn it. But nope. Right. That's not bad. I'm not going to tempt fate. Right, I had a bit of a lunch. Oh, I'm absolutely killing me. I've got this trapped nerve. You might remember a few years back I had a trapped nerve in my leg and I got one in my arm. Well, we think it's a trapped nerve. I don't know. It's mysteriously came about with a tiny bit of light pressure on my back, so that's worrying. Anyway, everything on the top side is pretty much soldered here. We're waiting for U7. I ordered one of those. It's coming from China though, so it'll be a few weeks yet probably. And there's 3 resistors we need to fit. We need a 220 ohm. I don't have that in the kit. We need a 3k. We don't have that in the kit. I need a 1.2k. We don't have that in the kit. So I'm going to raid my resistors here and just see if I can find anything. Now, I've got the 1Ks. I figure if I find the 220 ohms, that's one of the 220 ohms dealt with. And then I've got a 1k, and I can add a 220 in series, and I've got 1.2k, roughly, 1.22k. But I do have some odds and ends from, you know, kits and things that Barry sent me in the past, so you never know. I might have a 3k somewhere, or a 3k3 is fairly near. The resistor here, it's supposed to be 1k2. I've got a 1k and a 220 ohm in series, just wedged out. I'll show you that on the microscope in a minute. The 3k here, the nearest I could get was 2k2. Now, I know you're thinking, I've got some 1ks, I could have had 3k2, couldn't I? But there's no space there to do that unless I tombstone them slightly, and it just look even more of a bodge than the one does that's already there. And then I've got 220 ohm up there where it needs to be, so yeah, still lots of flux of stuff around that now. There's our bodge. I even pre-tinned these things here ready for U7 when that arrives. Right, so we're pretty much there now. I just need to fit U7 when it arrives, fit a socket for the ROM here. Right now we're going to clean up with cotton buds and IPA and then the toothbrush, and then put it in ultrasonic. Actually, you can see I've fitted all the jumpers here, the single pin header there. I've got some of the smaller footprint jumpers, you know, the smaller pitch, and then the 254 ones in a few places as well. Quite a lot of connections. Those are for the JTAG. This here is for the FPGA, I think. Although you'd think the JTAG would be for the FPGA. I don't know. You've got like Mizzy Mozzie stuff here, you know, like the serial stuff you get with Arduinos and similar sorts of things. So I'm not sure what that's used for. Is it to program this? And if it is, what's this JTAG for? I don't know. And the ROM, I think you can program the ROM in the software. I think from the Amiga side, LIV2 wrote some software to do that. It's a predecessor to the work he did in Ripple, yeah, the LIV driver. Yeah, so I guess he learnt, you know, some stuff from here, being able to program in the situ. Anyway, I am just going to scrub around this way to get the majority flux off. Have a bit of toothbrush around there as well, just to get most of the flux again off in between all of the chip legs and connections like this before I stick it in the ultrasonic. The only reason I do so much cleaning is, well, you get a much cleaner end result if you just don't rely on only the ultrasonic cleaner. But the ultrasonic cleaner will take longer, and all of this flux that's left on here will just dissolve into the IPA, and then end up having to, you know, change the IPA a lot more frequently. As things stand, I've not changed it in about a year since I last filtered it. And there'll be a video coming up on that actually, as I cleaned the IPA in my ultrasonic. And the ultrasonic cleaner came from all the guys and gals on my Discord. It was a birthday or Christmas, I think it was a birthday present about 4 years ago now. It's amazing how much I've used that. Anyway, you can sort of see how much difference that makes. It does make a difference. Got most of the flux out, but there'll be a row of it right in the middle there. I will quite frankly be amazed if this works, because, well, there's a lot of complexity to this. There's lots of things packed into small areas, very tight pitch on lots of the ICs. So the only thing other than U7 that's not on this board is the socket, and I've thought long and hard about this. You know, and I've done this before, I've tried to fit these the correct way. I mean, I'll just show you the issue here now. Bear in mind, I do have a finer tip. The aim is off at the moment, you know, I touch it, it's freezing cold here. But I mean, look at the size of the default tip here. So even if I use the smallest one, I would say it's only half the size of that, maybe 2/3 like that. You've still got to get right in the right angle, you know, to be able to solder any of these points here. You know, if you imagine if the tip was like really fine, let's just use this. Let's imagine this is the solder point, because it's about the same size as that. You'd have to come in sort of almost straight down. And this is the thing, I'm already touching the sides. I can feel it, I'm touching that strut there. This is the problem. The alternative is to use the soldering anchor, solder all these here, yeah, put that on top, yeah, and then heat from the underside with hot air. But then you need to get this side up to, it's about 230, isn't it, roughly? I can't honestly remember the melting point of leaded solder. It's something like 238 degrees or something like that. Well, yeah, you've got nothing really on the underside here other than that would burn up, pretty much. You're potentially going to damage the board doing that. You could get solder paste on there, yeah, and then fit this on top of the paste and do the same thing. It's got a lower melting point, but the other problem with this is, you know, you could melt the socket, not necessarily if you're using solder paste, because the solder paste is going to melt before the socket, probably. You'd hope so, because that's what this is going to be designed, you know, to work with, solder paste. And again, you could put solder paste and heat from the top side here, but then you're probably going to melt the socket again. It's an interesting one. I suspect at the factory, when these are manufactured, you know, they have some specialist tool that can just go down and touch each one of these prongs, and you can get your solder paste on there, and then you've got, you know, a HUD, you know, something that just goes down and touches every one of those contacts at the same time. And there's probably some preheating on the underside, you know, underboard heating, just to get it up by 150 degrees-ish, which makes all the difference to it melting quite quickly. So I don't know, I think I'm just going to cut the base out. It's far easier than the rigmarole and stress of trying to, well, worry about what best to do with that. There we go, that's one. Hang on, it's not easy to do. There we go, a little bit of solder there. And I'm just going to pull it up like that. That's it, you can see that left side there is a bit straight. That's all I've done. You can argue I just malformed the socket slightly by doing that. It looks fairly straight here on the top. You can see though the flux goes like right up here, goes on the pins, goes everywhere. So toothbrushing them, and then the ultrasonic layer is going to be essential really. Otherwise you just get flux all over these connections here. Right, so a few weeks later, see, I've had the board in this ESD bag here. I ultrasoniced this. It looks really, really nice, doesn't it? Hopefully I've got everything right here. We haven't programmed anything up yet. Still need to get the ROM on there as well, program that up. But we've got that little IC from Dodgy Keys, or Dassy Keys. Trying to copy DigiKey, aren't they? Dassy Keys. Daisy Keys, I don't know, how do you say that? I've had a few things from them before and they've always been alright. The irony is they probably order from DigiKey. they get them from DigiKey and then sell them as Dassy Keys. Yeah, it looks like the right size. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny thing, isn't it? It's like SOT 23 or something. It's probably even smaller than that, I don't know. Like SS OT 23 or something, I don't know. I get confused with some of the sizing codes on some of these things. Anyway, I'm lost on this huge board. There it is. And we've got the little baggie here. These are always fun to get out. Is this going to be the right size? Looks like it, I think. Yeah, and we added that solder there previously, so we can just, I think, add a tiny bit of flux. And I'm going to use hot air. This was the intention with this. And you can see my pragmatic bodge with two different size resistors there to get the sizing right. I think that's supposed to be 1.2k, wasn't it? And I've got 1k and a 220 ohm 1.2. So I've got the hot air set to way too high on the airflow. Yeah, so I'm going to use Cav tweezers with Cav cam here. I can't see where it is already. Where's it gone? It's there. So yeah, this is where it's probably going to move now. Let's just try using the tweezers to just micro adjust a little bit like that. That'll do, I think. And then come down here, shallow angle. Yeah, there we go. Let's just give it a bit of a press down. That is in place. Right, so we're on to the home stretch. We now need to work how to use this GoWin, I think it's GoWin, isn't it? Programmer. So I've got GoWin USB U2X dongle instruction manual. So we've got to go to magicjellybean.org. This is where we have to install virus drivers, is it? I always laugh when I hear that. The comments down below what shall says that. Yeah, install the virus drivers, so we need to go down there and download those. I don't know whether to use a VM to do this. Yeah, GoWin QQ Chinese symbol 808770961. It's got a little go-in IC on it, and obviously it's a USB device, and we've got the JTAG connections here. And this is always something that interests me and confuses the heck out of me, if I'm honest. This is like the whole JTAG thing, yeah? I've got JTAG programmers. I've got the Xilinx one. Why can I not use the Xilinx one? Maybe I can. But then the Xilinx isn't aware of this family of chips, is it? So it's like we need some sort of standardisation where you can use a standard JTAG programmer with JTAG and use any device. It's like, does that exist? Maybe I'm talking rubbish, maybe it does. Maybe I can use the Xilinx toolchain programmer. Yeah, so I have to, it says the first version of USD dongle only supports 3.3 volt JTAG level standard. So this is the other thing with this, and we've got jumpers here for this, I think, 5 volt and ground. So I'll connect my USB cable I have, you know, it's just a USB cable with a 2-pin header like that, and I mark one side red, one side black for 5 and ground, plus 5 and for ground, VCC ground. That should power the regulator, which means this is going to have 3.3 volts, and then with the JTAG side, which is, where's that? It's here, isn't it? It's going to then, why is it a switch? I was going to say it's going to detect it. It says SW1 JTAG. I'm really confused now. It's like, well, you can see what I mean. It's like JTAG is usually a strip of pins. Why have we got 2 strips here? What's switch 1? Switch 1 is 7 MHz turbo. But this, I don't know. I don't know. I'm confused. There's 5 pins. Oh, hang on. Yeah, there's JP9. You've got, this is confusing, you've got switch 1 and JP9. So JP9 is ROM override on or off, so that's that one. And then they've got 3 contacts with switch 1, presumably. It's hard to tell where they go because they're routed on the top side or an internal layer. So it's that top strip of pins there. Yeah. And we've got TMS. Great. This is the people who've changed the order. TMS ground, TDO, TDI, TCK. So I've got to try and match up these now, looking at the, you know, the designations here according to the colour, and connect them up here. Right, connected up there. That was actually fiddlier than you think. It's like I ended up with the middle pin as the final one there because it's on the end here, and it was really difficult to try and wedge it in between the ones already connected. So an old phone USB cable. This is why I always keep old phone cables. Ground, VCC. Yeah, Fisher Price weight of colour designation. And we connect it up to the pin header there. So that should mean now that this gets powered. There's things I've done off camera here. I've measured the 5 volts ground VC, you know, 3.3 and the 5 to ground, and make sure that 5's not short to 3.3 and neither of them are short to ground, etc. And there's no issues with this. But I'll just go and connect this to the PC, just make sure everything, you know, doesn't get nuclear, and then connect this up. But we need to install the virus drivers first, I think. So I'll report back in a minute. You'll see me programming this hopefully on the PC. So I followed the link on the bit of paper that came with it and downloaded the latest drivers and stuff from their website. I had to install Zadig first, WinUSB version 6.1.700.16385, I think it is. You can see it on screen. Yeah, and then I tried to use the UI, and I was getting nowhere. It just didn't seem to work at all. LIV2 kindly at that point pointed out there's a command line you can run that I think he'd got the information perhaps from J. Bilander. And at first I couldn't run that. It was giving me errors saying I don't have permissions to run it, it can't run this computer, etc. And then after speaking to LIV2 again, he pointed out you need to use an older version of the software. You can see the files I downloaded here. I think those were the older ones. In any case, you can see on the next screenshot here, I actually ran the command again from the command line, and it actually worked. And you can see the version number report in the actual string there, you know, the actual path. There are 2 different commands because there are 2 components of that FPGA that need flashing. So you can see the parameters vary between those 2 lines there. So here we are back at the bench. That was traumatic, it really was. Thank God I didn't need to properly install any virus drivers. The standard programming software seemed to be alright, and the antivirus software was alright with it. So let's disconnect that. Disconnect the power. Let's get the BIOS in there. Now I went with the 27010. I figured it's 128K. I know the ROM image I've used is 512K, but there's only 2 ROMs on it, 64K each, so in theory that should work, I think. I'm just trying to limit my use of 040s so that I've got some of those in my storage there. You know, stocks. So I don't know what jumpers now. What do we need to set on this? I honestly don't know. There's that many jumpers. I don't know. I just think we try it. I think we try it, but I think we try it without the CPU there. And where's the back? Is there a thing on this one that says the back? Where's the back? Yeah. Now this is the thing here. This is a bit well, not misleading. It's accurate. Back of 2000, so it's going to go that way around, which is totally different to every other card I think I've ever fitted here. I could be wrong. I might be wrong, and the terrible fail might be like that. It definitely says back. That is the back of the 2000, and it says here back. That's the back of the 2000. The front is here where you stick the mouse in. So let me give this a try. I'm going to put my finger on the VREG and on the FPGA here. Switch it on. Switch it off. Yeah, everything feels alright there. So, I don't know, I'll put it at the screen. Try that again. Well, it's doing something. Now, the thing I'm not sure about here, well, are the jumpers and the kickstart. And do we have any issues on this, like a bad solder point, a missing component, something, I don't know, something wrong? It's not doing anything, is it? I don't think. Yeah, there's me saying I'll remove the CPU, I left the CPU in. Yeah, I'm not sure whether this handles the boss stuff or not. Let's just try it without it. Yeah, I don't think that's booting. Just based on the fact that the centre part here doesn't change colour, makes me think that's not booting, unless I'm seeing things. Maybe there is a difference here on the border. You know, were we supposed to flash that before we stuck it on? I don't know. I think this is going to be really difficult to test, actually. And I suspect the thing that's going to be, well, there's a lot going on this board. This is the problem. This is, I would say, going to be, for me, one of the most complicated things I've built. I mean, I've got the config into the config out jumper set there. Should that be there or not? I don't know. I don't know what speed it's set to. What speed is it set to? 2, 3 and 4. 2, 3, 4. We've got 3 and 4 on, which should be 33, I think. Well, let's set 2 and 3 instead. Let's put it nice and slow, just in case there's some... Oh, God, where'd that jumper go then? Yeah, just in case there's some issue where at the moment it can't run as fast as I'm thinking it might be able to run. Yeah, so JP2 and JP3 are now set, which means 14 megahertz. JP5, what's that? E-clock gen on or off? Well, I think if you've got a stock CPU, that generates the E-clock. I think that's what he was saying. So actually, I think this, it can work with this. So let's put this back in. Let's just boot it with that on its own. That's what that jumper's for. If you remove that standard CPU, then you're missing the E-clock, because that's something that comes from the 68,000. It's something like 500 kilohertz, is it, or something? I can't honestly remember. Yeah, so that booted. So let's now get this back in again. Just give it another try. There are so many variables here though, because we've got so many components on it, and there are so many jumpers. So I don't know. This is the thing. Oh, it's working. There we go. So it's working. Well, we don't know which CPU it's using though, do we? Maybe we should just go for ID. Let's try that. Let's get an adapter, if I can find one. Yeah, now I've got some sort of SD adapters and things, but I'm going to go with the compact flash here, just because I know that this works with stock builds and things. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a standard 3.1 install. Now, I've got to try and find pin 1 here now. Now, it's got the little cutout at the bottom there, which corresponds with the cable. Yeah, there's no reference to pin 1 there, so we just got to go with the cutout and hope that's right. Is that going to fit? That looks too big. Oh no, it's alright. It's me being paranoid. So, let's just see what happens there. I'm just watching the LEDs on that. Yeah, the LEDs never even came into life there. So, is it because auto boot's disabled? Auto boot off on JP7. Right, got to go back out again now. Try and find JP7. Where's JP7? It's probably the auto boot's off. Yeah, JP7's on. So I don't know. Let's take that off. Maybe you put it on, switch it off. I mean, it did say off on. Does it mean it's off when it's on, or does it mean it's on when it's off? Do you see what I mean? I always get confused with these jumpers. Sometimes they do the opposite of what you think. Let's try it again. So, JP7 is off at the moment. Oh, it's flashing. It's flashing. Oh, it's booting. It flashed. So, I don't know. Let's just give it some time. I'm pretty shocked, actually. I'm shocked it even looked at the drive there. That's the first thing. Is it booting? It's still flashing, flashing, flashing. Flashing, 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 flashing. Oh my god! It's working. But is it using the stock CPU? See, that's telling me that Picasso needs an O2O. Well, it's not an O2O, is it? So ignore that. But what is it? What speed is it? More utils. We've got some extra RAM there, look. We've got 4 meg of RAM, I think. Yeah, we must have, because we've got, I'm trying to think. Yeah, we've got no other RAM here, so it's detected the RAM. That's a good sign. Sysinfo. Don't know where I'm going now. Why am I going in here? Oh yeah, look at performance. So stock CPU there. So we go speed. So I think we're running at 14 megahertz at the moment, all being well. So it says excellent. Hey, it's working. Look, 1441. 2.72 times an A600. Oh, that's brilliant. So, and it says there 14 megahertz. Hey, that's fantastic. I need to take some screenshots of this and send it to J. Bilander. His name, I think it's Jorgan. I think it's Jorgan. It starts with a J, but I think it's pronounced Jorgan. Jorgan Bilander. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. So that is incredible, isn't it? Let's just have a look at the drive speed. I'm curious, because one of the things that really surprised me looking at the GitHub page for this was just how fast the IDE can go. Now, we're only at 14 here, so I wouldn't expect much beyond a meg maybe. Oh, we got 2.35 meg at 14 megahertz. That's incredible. On his GitHub, I saw screenshots that showed like 6, 7, 8 meg, which is astonishing. So I guess the next thing is to switch that off. Let's just see, can we go much faster? We've got some RAM. We haven't tested it out. We've booted from IDE. For the most part, we've tested everything there, haven't we? In one hit. We managed to boot okay. There's a jumper, isn't there, to switch over the ROM, I think, which half the ROM you want. But yeah, anyway, that's we've gone from 0 to hero, thanks to J. Bilander, in no time. I thought this was going to take ages to test, and I thought it was going to take ages to resolve problems. So let's have a look. You've got JP8 is Octagon Octopus. Yeah, so that's the ROM switch there. Yeah. Before we switch that, we get a different ROM, and it might give us even more performance. I don't know. Don't know what the difference are between Octagon and Octopus. But anyway, right now I want to step up from 14 to 21. I swear you need like incredibly small fingers to get these jumpers on and off. I mean, I suspect we're going to have hit a limitation here, not be able to go very fast, because the default 33, well, the 33 I left at, it wasn't working, was it? And I think LIV2 was saying he couldn't do the next one, 42 he couldn't do. So I don't know, maybe it's going to vary depending on your board, you know, your Amiga revision, what mods have been done to your Amiga. It could even be the actual CPU that's on there. So let's try that. So we're stepping up in speed to the next level. Just to make sure it's not showing. And let's give that a go. I really need to connect a floppy drive up, because when you do that, you speed up the boot process, because, you know, at various points, a few points in the boot process, it looks for the floppy drive, and if you ain't one there, you get a delay of 5, 6, 7 seconds or more. Right, that's booted. That's good. Feels a lot snappier already, this. So I think this should be, is it 21 megahertz maybe? Something like that. And then the next step up from here was 33. So if we do speed, woohoo! 21.2, look at this now. 4 times the speed of a stock 500 or 600. That's really nice, isn't it? Compared to a 1200 where 1.78 times faster than a 1200. So, well, we are, aren't we? A 1200 is, what is it, 14 megahertz I think, and we're at 21. That is great. Let's have a look at drives. Let's see how that translation, you know, that speed increase, let's see how that speed translates into increased IDE performance because of the programmed I/O or polled I/O. There's different ways of looking at it. Look at 3.5 meg. That's fantastic. Oh, I really want to get to 50 megahertz on this. But that's the thing, can you go that fast? Let's just feel how warm that CPU is. Stone cold, absolutely stone cold. Which is why, using this modern-ish 68,000, you can go far beyond, you know, the original 7.09 or whatever that the stock Amigas used. So I'm impressed with that. So let's go to 33, which didn't work previously, so I don't know. So 3 and 4. So I need to move the bottom one to the middle. Let's try and get the players in there again, just trying. What I admire about this design is how well optimised it is in terms of the size of the board. He's managed to cram so much functionality into such a small space. But also the stuff about decoupling, as I was going around here, he's paid a lot of attention to decoupling. 2 different sizes of caps in various places. It's really well designed, this board, I think. I mean, I'm not an expert at this sort of stuff, but from my personal view, this is one of the best of these I've seen. And it is incredible how much he's fit into such a confined area. Yeah, I'm not sure that's booting now, because I don't see any activity on the LED. So yeah, it seems like mine is a bit sulky, going beyond 21 megahertz at this stage. I'll just power cycle it again. And sometimes there's advantage in skipping a specific frequency, because you can have a problem with things in the environment and things and the actual board it's going into. In other words, 33 might not be a happy speed. And what I mean is, you know, like you go up to the next speed and then it's happy. That means nothing. That doesn't explain anything, does it? That doesn't explain what I mean. What I mean is this, you get clock speeds that are a multiple or a division of a standard, you know, one of the other domains on the board. Things might be happier. You get things slightly out of domain. I was surprised actually at 21 worked. You get things nearer to, you know, alignment, yeah. And when you've got better alignment because you know, it's a multiple or a division of another clock, things can just get along better. So you never know. Let's try the next speed up 42. We might find that 33 is just a sulky speed for this board. Let's try that. So that's now the next speed up 42. No, I don't think that's booting. So I think I'm sort of limited at the moment at 21. And there are other factors like the firmware he's given me. I think there's a few different ones. I think he was tinkering around with weight states and things, so maybe this firmware is not optimal for going much beyond 21 with this Rev 6, I don't know. Yeah, so you can see the E-clock jumper is working because we've not got the stock 68K. I've had to go back to 21 megahertz for the moment, but that is booting. So let me just do a drive speed test on that again. We'll do a couple, just do speed check to make sure it's still running at 21. I'm very pleased though, because even if we can't go much beyond 21, it's still 4 times faster than a stock 500 or 2000. Look, 21.2, and we've got 4. Oh, that's an interesting thing. We've got 4 mega RAM. We should have 8 mega RAM. I think the jumper must be on to disable half of it. That's something we need to check. So anyway, let's have a look at the speed of the drive here. I forgot what it was now, was it? Yeah, there you go, 3.5 meg. So I mean, it's blooming fast. It's almost as fast as a 536, about the same speed as my 534. Bear in mind, the speed of your media can make a massive difference. The 4 meg, 6 meg jumper is JP6, which is... it's always odd for the jumpers on this one. It'd be nice if they're in one place, but beggars can't be choosers. Yeah, that's on. So I reckon we put that off. I'll just put it into overhang, so it's just on 1 pin. Hopefully we should then get 8 meg. And I guess I need to boot test kit next and test that RAM out maybe. And the build did stress me out. If I'm honest, it took me ages. It took me about 2 whole days of tinkering around with magnification of the microscope. You get such a sense of achievement when you manage to successfully build something like this, though. Hey! 8 meg of RAM as well. Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, 21.3 megahertz. Let's do a sieve. Things like that will be staggeringly fast compared to, you know, slower CPU. Because, you know, you're getting the full 21 megahertz there with that type of thing, for the most part. It'll be the same with the integer math. Yeah, look, it's not that far off of 1200 there, is it? In that particular case. So let's do integer math. You tend to find integer math is register to register. It will be obviously hitting the memory and stuff in between operations there. But register to register stuff is where you gain when your clock speed is very high. Again, it's actually better in this case, better than 1200. It'd be the same with a sort. A sort will probably come out very similar to 1200. Despite the fact we're faster than 1200, it's probably going to be similar. It might be faster, don't know. Again, it might be doing lots of register to register operations. Yep, there we go. Again, better than a 1200. Look, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. The beach ball's not going to be any faster, really. Yeah, because you're still, you know, really, really significantly bottlenecked by your standard CPU. Your FPU just does all that stuff way, way, way quicker. Well, that's a good thing that it's booted up already. Hang on, couldn't see storage. Yeah, so there is a difference there straight away because we're missing a volume here now. Look, DH3, DH4 don't work. Let's do a benchmark anyway. So I mean that's one difference, isn't it? The ROM we were using previously is obviously more compatible with the format of a couple of the volumes on this drive. I think those ones, I was going to say PFS, I don't think they're using PFS. Performance is the same, so anyway, I'm better off, and it says there Octagon, so that's the Octagon one. Switch it off. From my experience, the Octopussy seems to be better there. This stuff at the start here is just because it's this card is set up to work with an RTG, and it's got the Prelude stuff on it as well. I mean, in theory, we can get some of those in here and test it alongside it. Yeah, my volumes are all back now, so I'm very pleased. Anyway, everything there, I think, is working. We should test that RAM out next. Right, so booting from floppy. And if we look at memory, we've got 8 meg. Let's test regions. Let's do the fast. Yeah, and we did one pass, no problem, so I'm convinced the RAM is good. All good. Everything's good. It's incredible. I didn't think this was going to be this easy. Yeah, I'm just in shock. I'm in shock that everything works. Because, well, you'd imagine with so many components on a board and everything being so small, it would be so easy to get so many different types of issues building a board like this. So many possibilities of getting shorts, especially on these things here, yeah, or pads not soldered on very well. And even on that Go-Win, I'm just amazed that that worked first time, pretty much. So, yeah, we've got the switch, I'll show you that. I assembled that off camera. So it's just 3 wires go into that little PCB with a switch on it, so that could go up there. Hang on, I think it goes on 3 of the pins there, like that. I mean, are you ever going to use that? Probably not. You might want to switch between your stock clock speed, because that's what that does. It goes between your 7 MHz or turbo. Defaulting it seems to be turbo on, which makes sense. There must be a pull up or pull down or something on that. The micro SD slot is not supported just yet. Yeah, I think LIV2 could get to 28 MHz, and I don't seem to be able to. Did I test 28? Maybe I didn't test 28. Maybe I went straight to 33. I honestly can't remember. Let's try 28, which is just number 2 on. So the video was running on in length a little bit again. Massive thanks to LIV2, Matt Harlan, for sending this to me, along with all the components that he kindly paid for out of his own money. Much appreciated. And a huge thanks to Jorgan for creating this incredible card. There's quite a lot more to test in part 2. We may be able to go faster yet, so hopefully you'll join me in the second part. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video.